Nityanandam, thank you for watching my second video with Ma Nityananda Bodhana, filmed here in the Bengaluru Adinam in India. I hope you enjoyed my first video giving a small introduction on how a girl from a small town in Michigan ended up as a local leader in a global Hindu organization. What I want to share today, since I'm back in what I know as the motherland of India, I want to share what it was like the first time I came to India about 10 years ago. So I was in my 40s, and actually India had not been a place that I had thought much of going. I had traveled to Europe and other places, but I had had a strange incident about really almost 17 years before I went to India. I was on the street of the town I lived in, a small town called Yellow Springs, and a friend came walking by. Her name was Anuja, and she just casually stopped and said to me, "Oh, I'm going to be leaving for India soon." And I remember just looking at her, just shocked, like something just shot through me, and just literally started crying. And I said, "You're going to India?" And she was like, "Why? What's wrong? Like, what's that reaction?" I didn't know what the reaction was either. I put that incident along with many, many other incidences, as I've said, like little beads that all formed a necklace that I call my awakening. It was just another wake up. The way that I heard the word India, the way that I saw her, it just woke up a longing in me that I didn't know existed. Anyway, 17 years later, I had met Swamiji, and he had introduced the first Nitya Yoga teacher training. I had just completed an almost 3-year course in both yoga teacher training and yoga therapy in Columbus, Ohio. And I thought for like a graduation present, I would go ahead and take this 10-day Nitya Yoga teacher training. So it was my first time to India. It was not my first time with Swamiji, but it was my first time to India. I would be leaving on December 31st, New Year's Eve. So my husband and my daughters, we packed up together and they drove me to Columbus. We stopped up in the newly acquired building for the new Shiva temple in Columbus, which Swamiji envisioned and blessed. And from there we went to the airport. I don't remember much about the flight, but I'll never forget the landing. We landed and it was very flat, and the buildings were low, and there were palm trees. And immediately the air inside the flight felt sticky and warm. So I remember we came to a stop, and we exited the flight, the jet. And I remember that the sky was pink, and the pink was like velvet. The minute that air touched my skin, I literally felt like I was being caressed by my mother, in a way I'd never been held or caressed before. I mean, that pink sky was literally like velvet on my skin. I remember just being so, it wasn't even amazement, it was just being enveloped and remembering and soaking it in. So the whole experience from that point where I landed, I was just completely relaxed. It was like I knew immediately just to settle in and that I would be taken care of in the land of India. I had flown alone and I didn't know anybody at the ashram. Back in those days they didn't really have a pickup service arranged. So I remember, it seems to me in my mind I took a tuk-tuk to the ashram, which would be a little strange because it's far. I mean, at that point it was a different airport. But whether it was a tuk-tuk or a taxi with open windows, I just remember the sky, that really pink sky. It was getting dusk, and that air, even though it was loud, even though it was sticky, even though it was hot and smells coming in through the car windows, I just felt so embraced for that long ride to the ashram. When we arrived at the ashram, it was nothing like it is now. It was 2006. There was a ton of people there because it was celebrating Jayanti for Swamiji. There was no welcome center. You just pretty much had to figure out where you're going. So I finally found some office that one person or another led me to, and I was put in this room. And the whole pace in India is so different. I just fell asleep, woke up, somebody walked in and left, somebody else walked in and left. I'm not a patient person, but on this night flying into India, it was as if patience was the only thing I knew. So I just I probably waited 3 hours in this office, and finally someone came in and noticed me and said that I would want to attend this event. Then had I eaten. So first they led me to a place where I had some food, nothing like I'd ever seen before, and then to this tent that was filled with thousands and thousands of people. And way, way, way up front was a stage, and there was a young man talking. He was a Swami. He was teaching a meditation, which we know now is Nitya Dhyan meditation. He was teaching this meditation to the whole group, the thousands of people. So I joined in on that. I was way in the back. And that meditation got over. It was very, very beautiful. It has 5 steps, and the whole meditation is 35 minutes long. But in his teaching of it, each step he would go into stories and into more stories. Each story would spin off. So probably the whole teaching the meditation and doing it maybe took an hour, maybe a little longer. I didn't know the lineup of events. I didn't know if Swamiji was coming or not. But finally, after this meditation, I think the lights went off. And when they came on again, it was like Las Vegas or a circus. There was a spinning wheel of light, and Swamiji was sitting in the middle of it, just sitting there on a throne like a king. And it was really like psychedelic lights blinking and flashing and spinning and sending colors everywhere. He just sat there, and then they did a ritual that they do with putting flowers on him, pouring flowers and flowers and flowers and flowers till it was a mountain of flowers. All I can tell you though, my arrival in India that day, January 1st, then that night, was twofold for me. It was literally being held by my mother, and then it was being held by Swamiji, my mother, in the most incredible beginning journey of my life. I've come back to India many times since then, and each time I'm struck by the air, because I've never been in a place where the air feels actually alive. Like it's almost like something you can talk to. It's touching you and holding you and whispering on you. And the feeling of it on my skin, like I keep saying, is like velvet. I've just never experienced anything like it. So in all the times I come back to India, the first thing is this experience, this relationship with the air herself. And then with the land, India is the motherland. It's known as that. But I could truly understand why. It's the whole space of India is living, breathing. Unlike, I've just never experienced anything like that. I relate to water. I experience water as an entity. But to have every aspect of it walking through her, walking on her, being held by her. Then, of course, culturally, it's very different in India. But I can tell you on that first visit, I've never been more taken care of by people. When I didn't know where I was going or what I was doing, or there was always somebody there just gently guiding my elbow or turning me in the direction I needed to go. The most beautiful, wonderful experience. So I'm back here again in the Bengaluru Adinam ashram, which has grown a lot. There's still the trains going by and the quarry nearby where there's explosions in the evening. But the land herself breathes, receives, gives. And the land herself is Swamiji. He's part of it. And when you're here, you get to be in that breathing space, receiving, giving, experiencing. I hope all of you will have a chance to come to Sadashivoham 2016. If you've never been to India before, it'll be the most amazing experience of this motherland. If you have been to India before, the 11 dimensions that we're going to be experiencing will just take us to a whole nother place with this land, the mother, ready to receive us. So have a wonderful day. You can get more information on Sadashivoham 2016 on the website www.nithyananda.org, Inner Awakening. And I'm so looking forward to sharing more things with you. So please come again. And signing off for now.